Airplanes made of light, made of stars in my mind. Is it right? Is it right to want to find the answers here to this fluttering energy like balls of fire within me, and I know I can't be right for anyone if I'm not right for myself. So I'm going to put my mask on and keep my head down and try to find out how to be right here, right now. Put my mask on, keep my eyes down, don't look around at anyone or anywhere except where I'm going. I'm going today, 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 today. Got a lot of things I can do, a lot of work I feel called to do. But that horizon keeps growing larger, and I keep getting older too. It's not my fault that I feel this way, so alive and so afraid at the same time. But I can change my mind by changing what I'm staring at all the time. I'll just put my mask on and keep my head down and try real hard not to look around. All the lights and sounds here, they call me out loud, they scream my name, and they want me to come play games with them. But I will just put my mask on so I can help you put your mask on too. 'Cause we're all on this airplane, and it's a frightening view to be descending so rapidly into the ocean of feeling, or the ground, or the ball of fire in our stomachs. I don't know where this metaphor may lead me. To the ground, it's like quicksand, and you just look around, look around, look around, look around, look around at all the debris around you as you're coming down. Well, I just drove through Minneapolis, like downtown, because I hate highways. I don't know. Highways make me feel very focused and forward thinking and driven, and when I'm trying to take like an adventure drive, it's better if I can feel a little more casual, which means the more stoplights, the better. So I stayed on 55 all the way into the city, and then took a right, I think, on Washington through the, like, saw that people really live in downtown Minneapolis. Then I took a left on Hennepin by this, like, Whole Foods, which I didn't even know it was so livable in downtown Minneapolis, and even, like, high-end. I mean, I guess I knew, but whatever. And then drove across this really, really beautiful bridge into, you know, across the Mississippi River to the other side, which I thought was immediately St. Paul, but I don't think it is. I think it's still Minneapolis. They just call it, like, East Bank or something like that. Anyway, and then I stayed on Hennepin, even though it's just really industrial. It went kind of past this other University of Minnesota campus where they do, like, agricultural testing, and Twin Cities campus it said, but it was in, like, I think Falcon Heights. And then I made it all the way on that road to a street I know called Snelling, because it's the one that I wrote that song on after I went by the Dunn Brothers coffee shop. That was like a week ago now. The first day of this time alone. So, and today's the last day of this time alone. And I had wonderful texts of support with my mother last night. A lot of love to be found, to be had. You know, unexpected places. My mother is extremely loving, but she, like me, has a lot of anxiety. We're both very high-strung, high-feeling, high-thinking people. And so we're not the same on a lot of, like, approaches to life, but we're the same on that topic. You know, just a lot to feel, and maybe a lot to say, or just a lot to think. But we're very, 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 very different on many topics, so I don't normally turn to her. But I was just feeling a lot yesterday, as I'm sure you saw if you saw any of those videos. Oh my gosh. I never know whether or not to speak with the concept of continuity, because if I were somebody else, I wouldn't watch more than one or two of these, and then I'd probably be like, whoa, that's intense. She's like really being a behind the scenes kind of vlog style kind of person. But then, you know, the Harry Potter books, I got to the second book, and I remember being super annoyed that she just kept recapping everything from the first book, and I was just like, you lost me, girl. Just keep, like, assume that we read the first book, please, you know? So, okay. So I'm trying to be more future thinking today. Yesterday it was just so on the heels of, as I said to my mother in the text, and I didn't realize how much this was true for me, but like the immediate day after a really hard amount of work, like I can't do this, like I can't reflect and process and feel things. Like I just felt like shell-shocked, like I had pushed myself really hard in the studio all week, and then done weird things for stress relief that actually I feel like drew attention to myself in a weird way, like dog videos posted on Instagram, singing my childhood song to my brother's dog, and then immediately doing some weird Raining Tacos mashup with Paco Bell's Cannon. And I just got like really, really weird and even did it on TikTok with weird dancing stickers and stuff. And I don't know. I think it made me feel exposed and weird at the same time and it made me feel too happy and too buoyant at the same time I was working on a really serious and kind of sad album from a really dark time in my life. I mean, I spent half of that 2-week artist residency so this album I was working on all week, it's called Trees for Clouds. It's one of only 2 albums of a huge list of albums that feel backlogged. It's one of only 2 albums that I feel like I have to do. It feels like a feeling of calling, or a feeling of pulling forward. And I've felt that for a long time, which is probably why I've stalled on it, because it was so overwhelming to have these songs that I knew I had to get out there. And they're not even things that would be famous because they're weird. They're weirder than, I think, Fiona Apple, or even maybe than Joanna Newsom, because they don't have a thing you can hold on to. Like Joanna Newsom has such incredible, like, poetic kind of lyrics that are imagery oriented. Like, I was going to say imagistic. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. And Fiona Apple kind of hangs on her amazing voice, but also her, like, raw power. And I don't know what these songs are. And I didn't even do them perfectly, but I tried to do well. And it was six songs, but, you know, one of them was, like, really, really long. And that was just the night before I made all those sad things, you know, and here I am having, like, a 20-minute ramble jam session in my brother's studio, and I get the Light in the Dark song in one take, and I know it's not perfect, but because it's not perfectly like what the original version was that I made up at the artist residency in 2015 up in northern Michigan. Yeah, cookies from my mom. Oh, but the point is, it's not perfect, but it's its own version, and it came out perfect in the sense that I could release it. There's not a single note mistake that doesn't belong. And that's insane that came out like that. And I prayed before I did it. But this is the same song that one time I ripped up, thinking that it would just spread more darkness in the world. I ripped it up. I ripped the lyrics up and was like, no, I won't put this out in the world. So to be 6 songs, only 2 songs away from done on this album that's haunted me for all these years. Oh, so what I was going to say is, I'm treating this week all lightly with dogs and, funny videos, but it's like, I spent 1 week of 2 weeks paid in an artist residency where they bought all my food and they had me as a guest artist and they treated me like literal artistic royalty, vegan food in this huge cabin with like 4 bedrooms and all these amazing, just cozy writer vibes. You could just feel it, and they don't have that anymore with Crosshatch, but it was an amazing opportunity. I felt valid like an artist for the first time ever in my life, which is strange to say that because I was not young by the time I did it. But I'd never felt like it was a viable and real path. I even started applying to a bunch of artist residencies after that. Never got in another one. Maybe I only applied to like 2 or 3, but I get discouraged easily. Anyway, plus the other ones weren't as much about time alone. They were more about like networking and connecting and collaborating, and that's not really why I would go off to an artist residency. For me, that kind of stuff is stressful and intentional. It doesn't feel like being an artist. It feels like being a business person with your art. So anyway, I spent the point of what I was trying to say is I just worked on an album for a week that I knew was so heavy that album was born out of both nightmares had in that cabin, and out of the 2 weeks that I spent there, one of the weeks was spent deleting and sorting. I still can't believe this, but I spent like at least 3 days, if not 5 or 6 of the days of a 2-week artist residency on my laptop, deleting and or sorting files from my marriage and time in Chicago and ex-husband. And it was so traumatic to be in this space where I had all this time free and all these resources and feel like I couldn't go forward because my old life was like a vice grip, or like I see like one of those kind of things on my past. Like my past was like on my present. And it was so bad that I couldn't go forward. So I instead used that time, that resource of artist residency time, to clear out the stuff that I felt like the weeds, like worse than weeds, like not seaweed. Yeah, kale, kelp, something, not kale. But it was like it was so thick and I couldn't breathe. And every time I opened my computer, I found myself trying to block out my own mind because I would see these old files everywhere. And then most of them I didn't delete, I just organized them to I'd put ZZZZZ ... old files. And then you had to go in pretty deep to those and then pull it up and you'd see pictures, I might have gotten rid of all the wedding ones, but I remember keeping a lot of stuff because it had my nieces and nephews in it when they were kids, and my old apartment, and it was so tragic and traumatic to see those places, but then see me holding a 1-year-old niece and just be like, divorce is not uncommon. So to all of you who have ever been through a divorce, or I should add, or a breakup of any kind, of any serious relationship or friendship or anything, I think we're not taught how to do this. Most people's lives don't just hang together, and they don't just stay with the people, friends and relationships and lovers that they had early in their life and then stay with them for the rest of their life. So most people don't get that luxury. And maybe that has its own problems of feeling like you chose right at the start, and maybe you chose based on childish ways of thinking, and now you feel maybe like, I don't know what you would feel. I did not go that route, but I went the other route where it became like painful. It started feeling like a curse of like always having to start your life over. So thank you, Falcon Heights or St. Paul or wherever I am. I'm on Snelling and whatever Hennepin turned into. It had a really weird name. I think it started with an L. Asbury, Crawford. All right, I'm going to check out one area that has some serious past in it and one area that is full newness for me. I'm going to do both. It's probably going to be in the rain because it's supposed to rain today. And that's my day. Bye.